On today's episode of the Bradeaux and Will Show, we have Vanessa Richardson in the building to talk about the Rockets eclipsing 50 wins for the first time in 6 seasons now, and a bunch of other topics you guys are not going to want to miss. So stay tuned for this episode of the Bradeaux and Will Show. All right, and welcome back to the episode of the Bradeaux and Will Show. Y'all heard Brad in the intro. We have a very special guest for the third, might even be fourth time. Third time. Okay, third time. I was right the first time. Vanessa Richardson in the building for the third time. Went for the three-peat. Vanessa, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yes, we had to get you on, especially for the episode where the Rockets just won 50 games. It's been a long time coming. A really fun rebuild, and here we are, 2-seeded Rockets. So our first question, we'll just jump right into it. Why has this Ime Udoka-led Rockets team been so successful in your opinion?
Oh my gosh, it's such a good question. And I think it's like a formula of, you start with the picks that Rafael Stone, the guys that he acquired and the picks that he's hit the nail on the head with. And then you add in, Ime taking over and bringing in an awesome coaching staff, an awesome video room, very specific and intentional with Royale Ivy, being the defensive leader, and Ben Sullivan, the lead assistant, being so good with helping guys with their shot, and just a group of really great guys. And then, you take Rafael's picks and Ime's coaching staff, and you have a talented team, but they're young. So you add in some veterans, and Fred and Dillon are the obvious ones. But, you can't underestimate Jeff Green and the impact that he's had, particularly on Jabari and Tari. And, people don't talk probably enough about Aaron Holiday, and, Rockets need a quick 9 points from the bench, and he just comes in and drains threes. So I think it's that just nearly perfect combination of the draft picks and the guys that the Rockets have acquired working out, and a great staff. And then you look at just the synergy and the chemistry of this team. It really is incredible.
I think you kind of touched on something that I want to ask you about as well, which was the collection of the draft picks and whatnot. I don't think a lot of people really give Rafael Stone his credit for being able to navigate the rebuild the way that he has, because there were a lot of questions about it. Like, I remember from the start, like when they traded James Harden, there was a lot of national media pushback saying, like, did we trade him for enough? We didn't actually get a player in the return back, all that good stuff. So he kind of took the unconventional route in trading a superstar. Now you kind of see more or less the way we traded James Harden is kind of how a lot of superstars get traded these days. But then you obviously have to rebuild with the selections and whatnot. People were kind of, up and down on the different decisions here and there. And obviously, like I said it on Twitter, man, but like coming out of a 3 years apart, tanking, like losing on purpose to come out where we are right now, I mean, that's not normal. There's a lot of NBA teams that do that, and it takes them a bit longer, or they don't come out with half as much talent as we did, half as much like the coaching talent that we have, right? There's a lot of guys.
100%.
I guess just from your perspective, like, what has it been like for Stone here?
You said, what has it been like for Stone?
Yeah, just because we talked about what Ime brought to this team, and I guess we'd like from the perspective from the front office.
I mean, like he's made decisions that have proven to be successful, even when people doubted him. He's stuck to the plan that he and Patrick Fertitta and Tillman Fertitta is the one that's told the story where Patrick and Rafael went to him and they were like, look, we're going to have some, maybe I'm paraphrasing, but we're going to have some lean and difficult years, but we need to do this. And they did it, and they stuck with the plan. And as you guys know, as fans, it wasn't easy. It couldn't have been easy as a front office either. And as media member, I mean, it's difficult. So I give Rafael Stone and Patrick Fertitta so much credit for what they did, for sticking to the plan, even when naysayers and outsiders and national media constantly questioned them. And I don't think they care what people think. Let me make that clear. I don't think they were like sitting at home crying about it, but I give them so much credit because they went through those lean years and look at how great things are now. And like you said, there are some franchises that have been in this phase or have been in the previous phase the Rockets were in for over half a decade. I mean, and it's just like, and then they swing and they miss, and they swing and they miss. I can tell that they really believe in our young core, and our young core. They work hard. They're talented. The veterans that Rafael acquired have been crucial for the team, like I mentioned. So I think Rafael is incredibly underrated. Again, I don't think he cares what people think, but just the plan that he and Patrick put in place and that they executed alongside Tillman, I think is something that they should get a lot of credit for.
Yeah, and I'll say this before moving on to our next 3 questions. Well, you might be on mute. I saw you trying to say something.
Am I still muted?
You're good.
No, you're not.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to say before we move on, I did want to say, because Vanessa talked about it from the fan perspective, I just want to say, I want to give you y'all's flowers, you, Craig, and Ryan.
Yes.
Because as a fan who has to cover the team in his free time, it was very difficult for me to, especially like those last couple of seasons, to come into a podcast with energy, come into a space with energy, still like cover, still watch every game. Like that was very difficult for me.
Yeah.
I have no idea how you on the broadcast like stayed positive and like kept the fans engaged the whole time, because I can't do it. Like Brad,
do you want to know how far the Rockets have come? I'm gonna pull up an old tweet to show you how far the Rockets have come. Somebody
while
tweeted
you do that
on January 8th, 2023, somebody tweeted. Okay, so you guys know how I start the broadcast, and we used to have a sponsor, and I would start it out with shining the spotlight on whatever.
Yes.
So somebody tweeted on January 8th, 2023, "We really down bad. Vanessa is shining the pregame spotlight on staying positive. Shout out to them for trying to keep fan morale."
Shout out to y'all.
Yeah, I don't know how y'all did it. We talked to
so
Craig
now I get to open the broadcast talking about like, hey, here's the mindset that the guys have going into playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, that was 2 years ago. Oh, how things can change in 2 years. I no longer have to talk about staying positive. It really is a treat.
Yes. We had Craig on in the offseason, and we talked about the same thing, like the energy you guys have. Ryan, as a trio, y'all are amazing.
Thank you. Oh, I love you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we love you too. We had to give you flowers there. And I wanted to give flowers to Patrick Fertitta. I know you mentioned
we
had to convince Tillman to stick with the rebuild. Like, this is the way to go. And I know that's not an easy thing to do. So huge credit to the front office. I don't think they get enough credit for this.
They don't. Yeah, I totally agree that they do not get enough credit. And so I love doing things like this because I think it's important for people to understand that this is such a collective effort, and it has been such a collective effort, over the past few years.
100%. And yeah, we'll jump to our next 3 questions. We have a few other questions lined up. We can start with Dillon Brooks. I think Dillon's been amazing here. Career high 3-point shooting, all that stuff. Today, the Houston Rockets are playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. They'll be without Dillon because he got suspended. 16th technical foul of the season. I went back and looked. Last 2-3 years, he's been at the top of the league in techs, second and third. I wanted to ask you, Vanessa, do you think there's bias towards Dillon Brooks? Because I saw your facial expression. I want to say it was the Phoenix game when they were reviewing that tech. And yeah, I think we're on the same page here.
Yeah. There's not a ton I can say, but fortunately I have one of those faces that like says everything for me. So, I sit at the scorer's table in Phoenix when we play the Suns, and I can hear everything happening on the court because I'm right there. I can then also hear the discussion the referees are having because they're having it right in front of me as well. And I just think there are always going to be guys in the league that get a little bit of a reputation whistle. And the thing about it is, and I don't want anybody to get suspended. I'm not rooting for anybody to get ejected, but I love old school basketball. I love that the Rockets are going double big. I love that they're like knuck if you buck. I love that they get motivated when somebody tries to fight one of them and they all come to each other's defense, and our coaching staff does too. So I think referees have a very hard job. I'm not saying every technical has not been deserved, but I had a hard time with the one in Phoenix. And Dillon plays with passion, tenacity. He's not afraid to talk trash, and he can receive it right back. And I think the league needs more of that. And I like the passion, and I like the tenacity, and I like that he's not scared of anybody. So I can't comment necessarily on officiating, but I think Dillon is one of the guys that wherever he's playing, he's going to have that a little bit of a reputation whistle. Dillon is the nicest guy.
Mhm.
He is like in real life, he is like an actual just sweetheart. He's a great dad. He's super funny, and he's an amazing leader for the young guys. So I have nothing but good things to say about Dillon Brooks, what he's done off the court, but I also have nothing but good things to say about him on the court, because again, the passion that he plays with and the way that he wants to make sure his guys know that he's there for them and that he's going to stand up for them, especially the younger guys, I think has been huge for this Rockets team. So, you know, can't say anything specifically about officiating, but there have been some technicals like the one in Phoenix that if you had a camera on my face,
You would see.
you'd know how I feel about it.
I was gonna say the funny thing about Dillon Brooks, and Brad can kind of vouch for this for me. I really wasn't the biggest fan of the.
I know.
Yeah, I
but
wasn't.
To your credit, you've admitted you're like, oh, okay, like I was kind of wrong.
I was wrong. I've loved every second of Dillon Brooks in a Rockets uniform, so much so that like he's easily skyrocketed up to like one of my favorite Rockets in recent time.
Wow.
I love Dillon Brooks. I love the way, like I think the culture that we have, I think starts from Ime, but I think no one exudes it on the court better. So it's that example on the court better than Dillon Brooks. So I don't think you have the culture and the identity that we have right now without Dillon Brooks. I don't think that like the way you talked about the way that the team stands up for one another. I think that starts from Dillon Brooks. Like he was one of the first people who came out there.
I agree.
When we got pushed around, Dillon was out there, even right or wrong, right? Dillon was out there having our guys' backs and supporting them on and off the court, honestly. And that means a lot to me, like as a fan, especially of the team that watched, like I said, those Rockets teams in the past where some of the biggest issues I would say was the fact that at times like people didn't particularly care to be out there. Right. And I don't have to question that with Dillon Brooks. I know
you never have to question it.
I know never have to question it. I know that he's going to give
he cares. He cares. He does. That's a perfect way of putting it, is you never have to question if he cares or if he's bought in. He is so passionate and so knowledgeable about the game. He has a very high IQ, very high basketball IQ. And look, I mean, you're not the only one that questioned it, right? Like you're not the only one that questioned it. And Memphis, whatever they said when he left, where they were like, absolutely no circumstance or whatever, is
they missed him right
now. And how is that going for Memphis?
Terrible.
Like respectfully, how's that going for Memphis? So I'm all in on Dillon Brooks. I'm all in on how he carries himself on the court. Again, it's never ideal for a guy to get ejected and have to serve a suspension, blah, blah, blah. I'm saying all the politically correct things. Right? I love Dillon Brooks, and I love what he does, and I love the old school physicality and that he's not afraid.
100% shout out to Dillon Brooks. It really did start. There was one game against the Lakers last year. Udoka was like, we're getting punked by teams we should not be getting punked by. And since then, the Rockets have been, like you said, nuck a few butts. Yeah, so they've been fighting since then, and I love it. It is great to stand up for your guys. It does start with Dillon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's passed down to guys like Jabari, and that's going to be our next topic. Jabari, he's been coming off the bench now, with the new starting lineup that the Houston Rockets have. I looked up his last 10 games, 14 points, 7.5 rebounds, 40% from three, 61 true shooting percentage for y'all.
Yeah.
Shooting percentage. That's very good. So, Vanessa, what are your thoughts on Bari coming off the bench and him in general?
Well, I mean, he does all the dirty work, right? Like, and the thing that I like, one of the ways that I question whether people or gauge whether or not people actually watch the Rockets and know what they're talking about is how they talk about Jabari, because he not only does the dirty work, but he affects the game in ways that do not always show up in the stat sheet. In fact, I don't know that there's anybody else on the team. Like you could argue maybe Fred, the way he calms things down doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, but like Jabari embodies doing the dirty work and doing whatever it takes to win. If he only scores 5 points, but he snagged 10 rebounds and defended the heck out of somebody, as long as the Rockets get the win, like he's good. And that isn't common in the modern NBA. I don't have to tell anybody that, right? So I am such a big fan of Jabari and the way that he operates. And, what Ime has said to me when I've interviewed him is like, it's not just about who starts. Like, it's about who's finishing the game. Who's finishing when the games are this close, you could actually argue is more important. So he's embraced coming off of the bench. And, look, due to like the back-to-back situation or some injuries, like he's actually started a good amount even since he moved to that bench role. So I'm such a big fan of Jabari. somebody tweeted me, like, after I posted something from him, somebody tweeted, like, "Jabari's parents did such a good job with him." And I'm like, "Yes, they really did." Like, he's just a good person, and he cares about winning more than he cares about individual stats.
I wanted to say this really quick. The first thing that Barry said I want to say when he was coming off the bench was it didn't bother him at all. He just wants to come in and do his role and make an impact. And I love that statement from a third overall pick. A lot of those guys have huge egos, and Barry is not one of those guys. As you said, raised very well. He's a team player at the end of the day.
Oh my gosh, he's the best.
Yeah. So love Jabari. Been on the show, so got to give my boy his props.
Love him. Yes, so, I'm a big Jabari fan.
Yes, we had one more topic. It was going to be Amen and Tari being, potential all defensive team members. Will, did you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
No, you're the guest. You got it. You got the.
No. I want to know. I want to know you guys' thoughts.
Okay.
I want to know.
So the thing, I love both Amen and Tari. I think. I mean, we talked about all the dogs of this team, right? With Dillon, with Bari, with now Amen and Tari, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think those two guys, especially, they exude that dog mentality that I think Ime and Dillon Brooks really, really wanted to bring to this team. And particularly like Bari, his defense is more, he'll guard like the bigger players.
Yeah, he's so long. Yeah.
And then he's the guy who's more tasked with boxing out, getting the rebound, stuff like that. Not saying Tari and Amen don't, because they do that as well, right? But Amen and Tari are a bit more like point of attack defensively, right? They're more on the ball. They're more in the passing lanes. They're more like getting the on-ball strips and running in transition. And if you look at one of the reasons why the Rockets have been this successful, it is, of course, our rebounding. So shout out to Bari and our bigs down there on that department, right? But a lot of it is also just getting out and getting transition points. And like one of the reasons why we struggled against the Lakers last week, I want to say we had our lowest amount of transition points the entire season. I don't know, Brad, you can vouch for it, but I want to say that was.
I'll look it up.
I think that was I don't even know how many but I want to say it was a season low, and like obviously that was one of the reasons why we struggled with that game. So that's what I love about Amen and Tari, because they are guys who do that. They get us the transition opportunities. They push. They're athletic. They do a lot of the same things as Bar, but they'll dive on loose balls. They won't necessarily get like a stat, but I'll see like Tari will like tip the ball to keep it alive, and that won't.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't show up in the stats.
It won't show up in the stat sheet, but like that impacts winning, and the only way for you to know that is if you're actually watching them every single night. So
yes,
I love what I'm saying for Amen and Tari. I think Amen should make all defensive first team.
Agree.
And I think Tari's not eligible because of his games played, but 53. If we were, I think that he should also be on the all defensive team this year. He's been that good for us.
Yeah, that's the identity of this team, and it I think obviously starts with Ime and assistant coach Royale Ivy, and it was so fun to watch Royale coach South Sudan this summer, because like they were going hard on the defense too, and I'm like, yeah, like that's just so the identity of this Rockets team. And then you bring Dillon Brooks in, who's defense literally known for his defense. Like the offensive consistency has been a really nice but Dillon known for his defense. They drafted Tari, and from the start, even when he was at LSU, his defense was spectacular. And then you have Amen that like just looks like he was built in a lab, and like has no problem. Kevin Durant, Steph, LeBron, no fear, no problem. I mean, I have so much belief in this team defensively, and the Terror Twins. They get separated every now and then because Amen will start or Amen's not playing, Tari's at whatever. But when they're in the game together, I don't like when the Terror Twins are both in the game. I don't know how anybody can watch that and say the NBA is boring. Like I literally am like, you just aren't watching good basketball. You're not watching the Rockets if you think the NBA is boring, because of the plays that they make, the blocks, the steals, the just willing to just dive and all of that. It's so much fun. Amen should be all defensive team. I mean, you listen to the things that assistant coaches or head coaches are saying about him. I mean, Steve Kerr, who of course coached the Olympic team, and Amen and Jabari were on that select team. Will Hardy. I mean, like every opposing head coach is like, this kid's the real deal, and it's only his second year. And then you have Tari, who has just had to face so much adversity in his life, and came off the bench at LSU. I mean, these two are just grinders, and I am very, very, one of the things that I'm looking forward to for years to come with the Rockets are the or is, you know, the evolution of both of them, the Terra twins, not only as individuals, but together.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I don't think Amen and Tari are going anywhere anytime soon. I can lock those two into the Houston Rockets. I was going to say this really quick about Tari, then I'll jump into my case for Amen. Tari, again, spectacular, as you both mentioned.
Oh, my gosh.
He's the only other Houston Rocket in NBA, in a franchise history right now to have a 3% steal rate and a 3% block rate. Again, like the guy's everywhere defensively. So you have to give him his credit. As soon as he hits that 65-game threshold, he's going to be an all-defensive member. So whether it's next year or the year after, he's going to be there. But as for Amen, being on a top 5 defense in the NBA, he just hit 65 games. He is 4th in the NBA as the primary defender, holding defenders to only 41.2% shooting. You have that, and you just have him averaging 1.4 steals, 1.3 blocks. He's by far one of the best defenders in the NBA, and he should be on the first. The first team. He should be on the first team. And I don't see an argument for him to be on the second. Again,
if he's not, it's ridiculous, and it's you know, going to be biased based on East Coast, West Coast, big market, and like if Amen, I mean, I don't even know how seriously I'll be able to take that if he's not on it, because he is like stealing grown men's souls on a nightly basis with the plays that he makes, and those two together are one of the big reasons why I'm not scared of anybody in the playoffs. Like, do I have, you know, other teams that is there like maybe a ranking order of who I'd like? Yeah, I mean, sure. But like, Amen's not scared to guard Steph. Like, Tari's not scared to guard LeBron. You know, it's like, and Dillon, we all know Dillon's not scared of anybody. So the defense is why I have so much confidence in this team.
Yeah, 100%. That's their identity. And as soon as they got back to playing defense, they started kicking it back into high gear. So, I'm excited for this team.
Oh my gosh, so excited.
So excited.
We have to ask you, though, because this one I wanted to ask you was because you were in the arena, was it that Wednesday? Is that our last? That was Wednesday we last played?
Yes.
And the fourth quarter takeover from Reed Sheppard. I don't think I've heard Toyota Center get that electric for one player in quite some time. Just what was that experience for you in the arena and just kind of where Reed Sheppard is right now?
Love Reed, love Jeff, love Stacy, his parents. I just first of all, if you gave up your stock on a rookie,
thank you,
halfway through the season, hold on, it gets better. There are people that gave up their stock on Reed Sheppard as a rookie halfway through the season when he's on a deep team. Like, okay, if Reed is playing for the Washington Wizards, no offense to the Wizards, like, I'm not understanding. I never try to knock how anybody feels as a fan, but I'm like, how would you give up on somebody that is a rookie on a deep team? Like, I just didn't quite get that. It was electric. I loved hearing people cheer for Reed. He's one of those guys that he obviously, like, everybody needs to play, right? And when he went to the G League, like, some people view that as a demotion. Reed was like, let's go. You know, he obviously had that, I think, 49 or 50 burger and only played 3 games down there. And Ime was like, yeah, you're too good for the G League. But when he gets going and when he has that confidence and he's able to fight, you guys know, like, this is a game of rhythm. And all of the guys that come off the bench that are not in that regular rotation will tell you it can be hard to find a rhythm. Now imagine you're a rookie who every team Reed's been on, he's always played at least significant minutes. That's not easy. And so for him to have the game that he had and to just see that confidence and see that Kentucky Reed Sheppard come back was really important for him. He's going to stat games like that. He gives effort. He would not be getting minutes if Ime did not believe in him. And if Ime and Rafael did not believe in him. So to all of you that sold your stock on a rookie halfway through the season, a rookie on a deep team, on a good team, shame on you. For those of you that stuck around, all aboard the Reed Sheppard train. We keep it rolling. Choo-choo. I'm excited.
Yeah, last thing I'll say is we went through a whole rebuild, and it was just very shocking for me to see people give up on a rookie that soon into their season. Like, we just went through this with all these guys.
I don't even have the words. It's just bananas.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But I know you have to get to the game, Vanessa. So we want to thank you again for coming on the show. It's amazing to always have you on. And if you guys don't already, Sports Vanessa, Instagram, Twitter, any social media.
Thank you.
If you're not following Vanessa, you're missing out. That's great.
You guys, and I say the same thing about you guys. You guys are really the voices of the fans, and you do such a good job of bringing content and, you know, sharing the things obviously that I'm able to gather. And sometimes I don't have the time to put it out. Like, you guys are just on it. So appreciate everything that you do. And I better see you guys at Toyota Center for the playoffs.
I'm working on a ticket right now.
Okay. Oh, you guys got to be there. You guys got to be there. Thanks,
well,
y'all.
I think that'll do it. Thank y'all for tuning in to an episode of the Bradeaux and Will Show. Thank you, Vanessa, for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yep. See you guys.